All right. Good evening, everyone. Sure. There we go. Looks like we're live now. So welcome to our wrapping up webinar for Mobile CSP. We're going to focus on data collection and talking about the end of year requirements for wrapping up the Mobile CSP research project. Just quickly wanted to say hello, Pauline Lake, who many of you from the hybrid side have been talking to, and occasionally a few of you from the online side. And we have Cassie here as well.
Hi, Andrew Beckworth, your data specialist, as Pauline said, from the online side.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. Just let me know if there are any troubles. Okay. So hopefully everybody can see the slides well. There is a link to the agenda and the slides as well. Hopefully you have one or the other pulled up. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You know, for tonight, we were going to use Answer Garden. I don't know if that's in the slides, but first wanted to say we're at the end of the year. This has been a really important year, the first official AP CSP, and the first exam also happened. So for those of you teaching AP, thank you for all that you do and for participating in the project. And the same goes for the non-AP teachers as well. Thank you for being on this journey with us and for participating and giving us feedback and suggestions and helping us with the research and data collection. Each year, we at this time start to reflect back on how we can use your feedback and the work you have done to make the course even better for the students to follow. So just a huge thank you. We've had approximately 200 teachers from both the hybrid and online put together that took the PD with us in the summer and are now giving us data and have taught the course this year. So thank you and congratulations to all of you for what we feel from our perspective is a successful year. So before we get started with the end of year requirements and kind of wrapping up the year and the data collection, we wanted to pose a couple questions for you as you start to wrap up the year. So for the AP teachers, now that the AP exam has passed, we want to hear from you. What lessons and or activities are you using right now in the classroom and going into the end of May and early June? And for non-AP, just how are things going? Are you on track as far as having your students finish up their projects? Many of you I know may be working on having the students complete projects up until June, so they get more time and less time constraints than the AP teachers. So we want to invite you tonight to try to use Answer Garden, which will give you about a 40 characters per response. And there's unlimited responses, but it will help keep track of the responses that you give. So I don't know, Cassie, is there anything you wanted to add about that?
Yeah, I see a couple of you are already typing in there. So there's a link in the chat, and we also have a link here in the slides and in the agenda. So you can just go ahead and go to navigate to Answer Garden and type a simple answer about what you're doing this year, And then we're going to share that information with you guys after. We'll share what people typed in. As you can see here, people are typing in some answers. You can type in more than one to use a different response for different things that you're doing. So if you're working particularly on programming, or you're playing around in App Inventor a little bit more, we'd encourage you to do that a couple times and answer those things. As you can see, if you type in an answer that's already there, it will highlight that, and that's just good information for us so we can see who's doing what, and what's going on and what's been the most popular.
Awesome.
I think we'll give you a couple minutes or a minute or so to do that and type in your answers. And as I stated, we'll share that with everyone so you have some ideas about what's going on and we can get some feedback as well. I see a couple people might just be joining us now. What we're doing is we are in Answer Garden. We're just asking for your feedback about what you are doing now that the AP exam is done, or what went well in your course. Answer Garden allows us to see the answers all together and get to see kind of in a word blog, or excuse me, a word cloud about what's going on. So to go into Answer Garden and drop your answers about what you're doing now that the AP exam's done and how you plan on ending your course.
Whoops, refresh. There we go. I see a couple guest speakers. That's a nice idea.
Lots of Java coming in, lots of programming, furthering that. Seeing some Thunkable.
We should be talking with them soon.
We're going to leave Answer Garden open, so if you think of something or if you have a good idea, we'd encourage you to post your answers there as we work through it. And as I stated, we'll share that with you at the end. Colleen, if there's anything you have to, is there anything you have to offer as suggestions for wrapping up the lessons and curriculum and some potential things teachers can do?
I was looking to see, I heard that there were some teachers who were deciding to watch movies. I was waiting to see if that popped up here. Watching some CS related movies or STEM and tech related movies and kind of deciphering them. I see Student App Expo. Love it. We just had our 4th annual Mobile CSP App Expo today in Connecticut. Thank you to all that came out, and I know they did one in New York as well. Congratulations to them on their successful expo as well. It's a nice opportunity to bring students from the area. If you have several schools in your area that students have been taking the course, to bring them together and let them meet each other and see the work that they've been doing.
Great. It's exciting to see what everyone has going on, and if you hover over the answer, you can see how many people have typed that in and are doing the same thing as you. We want to be respectful of your guys' time, and we want to make sure this is a short webinar and we go over what we need to go over. So I think we can move on, but if you think of anything else, go ahead and put that in Answer Garden.
Absolutely. All right. All right, so I think we're just going to move on to the big topic for tonight, which is the research requirements. We wanted to remind everyone of what the research requirements are. I know for the hybrid side, I've started to go through and take a look at what you've been putting in there. Some of you may still be working on updating. Some of you may be close to done. Some of you may need more time. You're all in different places, and we just want to make sure that everybody is on the same page about what the requirements are and what's needed. So one of the things that we check for as research participants is that you are continuing to participate with your mentors and master teachers throughout the academic year. So you should have been having monthly or bi-weekly meetings with your mentor and your cohort or your group. So we hope to get reports back from your mentors and master teachers that you've been participating in those actively and contributing to those. For most part, I think we hear always good things about teachers continuing to do that, as a lot of you tend to say that that's a good way for you to get feedback and help and suggestions from your group as you are going through and teaching the course. Another requirement is the video task, which is for the online PD participants only. So those who did the online PD, you have your video task requirements, and questions for that would be directed to Cassie if you still have questions about meeting that requirement. So that is not for the hybrid teachers, just for the online.
And I can speak to that a little bit too, Colleen.
Sure.
So we've staggered the video task requirements throughout the academic year, as you guys know. But as Pauline said, we understand that this is a busy time of the year. So if you have not yet gotten in your video task, please do so. And if you have questions about how to wrap that up or you're concerned about meeting that, reach out to us and we'll do what we can to work with you on the video task. And that's something that we need to have in, and it was a requirement, as you all are aware. So it's just really important that you don't put that to the last minute. And if you haven't done it already, to please get that in. So the next step too is we have created these spreadsheets that you can use, that we've been using to help track data collection throughout the academic year. And we really want to make sure that you are not putting off updating your spreadsheet until the end of the year. If you have not updated your spreadsheet, if you have grades that are not in there, we encourage you to submit them as soon as you have them. And that helps us on our end, and it also helps you too, so we can get those checked off and get you wrapped up with the program sooner rather than later. So update your spreadsheet if you haven't done it. We've listed the requirements here, and we've included some links. So consent forms, if you have, those should be uploaded in the folder that's included with your spreadsheet. If you have not yet uploaded consent forms, we need those to analyze the data. We can't include any student data that does not have a consent form with it. So if you have those on file and you haven't uploaded them yet, please do that. The pre-survey was done at the beginning of the year, and you should have had follow-up about that. Same with the midterm and exam 1. I'm going to come back to the performance tasks here in just a moment, but if you haven't issued the final exam yet, we understand that a lot of you are wrapping up. We encourage you to do that soon. A friendly reminder that we pull grades every Tuesday and Thursday night, so those will be available for you. Also, to have your students complete the post-survey, those tokens should be available in your spreadsheet, so if you haven't done it already, please have your students complete the post-survey. The last step, and I'll come back to the performance tasks, but the last thing that you need to do is get in your teacher end of course survey, and you should have been emailed a token via Qualtrics last week. If you did not receive that token or that email, please let us know. We can send you the token and the link separately, but there's not really a way for us to track whether or not you received that or if it just got sent to junk or spam. So we encourage you to let us know if you do not have that survey and you cannot access it. So Pauline, do you want to go ahead and open up the example spreadsheet and we can talk a little bit more about the performance tasks? In here in the chat about how do we know if we have completed all requirements? An easy way to do that is your spreadsheet. So you should have grades, you should have the consent form pre-survey indicated. In this example, we have that for you as reference. So if you're missing some columns here, if you're missing a create or explore, you haven't reached out to us about that. I understand that some of you were in some circumstances where you weren't able to do those. If you haven't reached out to us about that, you should have those grades available and they should be uploaded to your spreadsheet. The post surveys we update on a regular basis. I have been doing those every Tuesday and Thursday. That might be a little bit different from Pauline. So that's one way to tell that you've met all requirements for the academic year. Your teacher and a course survey you'll complete, and if you're in the online program, you should have completed the video task. Questions or you're not quite sure if you've met everything, go ahead and reach out to Pauline and I. Pauline, do you have anything else to add about that?
I think one thing that I'm seeing as I've been going through some of the teacher spreadsheets is the dropped column. I know with some of the hybrid teachers, I think I was late putting in that column. We want to make sure that if there was student was dropped, that you have a yes or a no in this column, because some of you may have been using like a strike through or a highlight or another color. It's just easier as far as sorting and analyzing the data if there's a yes or a no in the drop column on whether a student dropped the course. In this example, I see I was the lucky student who dropped. That's funny. So it just helped.
A little bit of irony there, Pauline. Because you're the glue that holds us together.
So yeah, if you could do that for us, that's helpful in just making sure that all the students are listed and that you're not deleting a student from a spreadsheet, because I will go crazy trying to figure out where this student used to be when we have their data. And I think for these, we want to go back and talk about how they're entered. So the create and the explore performance task, we had provided slides, but to show you that we had entered them as formulas, so that way we know what rubric you had used or how that grade had been calculated. So here, see. And I think some of the hybrid teachers, I had asked if you could to actually enter the full formula that you had used. So if I had asked you to do that, that was between us. But I was hoping from some of you to have the column, the score for each column on the rubric that you had given the students. That gives us more data in the end, especially if you weren't able to provide your rubrics. I know we're trying to steer away from teachers having to scan or copy and scan their rubrics to us, the completed rubrics. It just helps us get a little bit more data about how you scored or how did you arrive at this 24 out of 30. So some of you I may have requested, or you may have followed this sheet, this performance task slides that discuss the grading. So if you weren't sure if you were looking at the rubrics, again, this is still available for you to know the value for each rubric, or each column, excuse me, to help you with entering your scores. This was the reminder for those who had used the the original Explorer. The Explorer rubric is the one that was changed on us in mid-fall, so that you're referring back to that, which rubric you had used, and how to enter those grades. Hopefully for Explorer 2, everybody had used the new rubric for that. So that would be this rubric. Okay. Cassie and I still have some comments here to help you see here what was the weight that you gave each possible score, and then the total that you gave the student. Cassie, is there anything else from here that you want to highlight? I think there's...
No, thank you, Pauline. Just a quick note, though. I see a couple requests came through to access that example spreadsheet that's linked in the slides. I just changed that to the link sharing, so I'm sorry that that was not done before. So you should be able to access it, and you can come back to this example spreadsheet if you have questions about what your spreadsheet should look like and what you need to update. But other than that, no additional additions. Thanks, Pauline.
All right. And again, if you were missing the link to that performance task grades, the slides, it is linked in tonight's webinar slides for you. Are there other questions that are coming in?
No questions. No questions here. We're just reading through. I have a couple questions, excuse me, I have just a couple concerns about the grade book and if people are on track. I just want to let you know that a good way to tell that, especially as we're wrapping up the academic year and Pauline and I are in this transition period of making sure you guys are on track and getting the support you need as well as accepting people for next year, is if you do not receive an email from us about your spreadsheet, it's pretty safe to assume that you're on track. That doesn't mean that you've completed everything, but you're probably on track and doing a good job. If you're really behind, that's when we're going to start following up with you. But again, please do not save updating your spreadsheet till the end, because you're going to, that might give Pauline and I a little bit of a scare if we see that you're not on track and we have a week left to submit data. So just make sure that you're updating that. If we have any concerns, we'll follow up with you. And of course, you're always welcome to reach out to us and ask whether or not you're meeting requirements, and we'll let you know what's going on.
Sure. Yeah, I would say at this time, you should probably have just these last few fields to be filling in. So you should be working on finishing up the grading of the Explore and the Create tasks. Final exam, posted those grades for you in the different tabs. Post survey for hybrid, I will be going through this week to make sure that all of your students have completed the post survey and indicating who has and has not done that. So you'll see those yes and no's. And then you should be just about ready getting soon in the next week to put those final course grades, percent that your student is getting. I had some questions about that via email, and that was supposed to be the grade that you gave your student in your grade book at school. So even factoring in other grades that you may have given for other tasks that may, or assignments that may have been completed, and using whatever weighting you had used to enter the projected or the final score that the student would receive. That helps us see, where students doing well overall in the course, but not doing well on the tasks, or that's doing well on tasks, a good correlation to how well the student did in the course overall. So that's good data for us to have there. I think there was a question that I had gotten about, should it be the the average of here, the projects and the exams, but it should be the overall score that you gave in your school grade book.
Thanks, Colleen. If you have any additional questions about that, please email us. We just want to make sure we're mindful of people's time here, and we're coming up on 30 minutes. I told you guys it would be, so we're just going to speed through these last couple slides. They're pretty self-explanatory. So as we stated before, the preferred date to submit data is June 1st. If you can get that into us by then, we would be extremely grateful and very, very happy. And with the hybrid program, if you get that in, there's stipend. That's going to affect when your stipend is issued if you send that in to us earlier, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But the final cutoff, the final date is June 16th. That is when everything needs to be submitted to us. Where you cannot meet that deadline, please let us know and we'll do our best to work with you. But this is a deadline that's been available and set since the beginning of the year. So we don't have a ton of flexibility if you're not in an extenuating circumstance. But reach out to us and we'll do our best to work with you. But again, that's a hard deadline. Only extenuating circumstances, and we reserve the right to deny extensions. And this isn't because we don't want to see you guys succeed. It's not because we don't want you to get your stipend if applicable. It's because we need to get our data and we need to have that turnaround for our program that for next year and make improvements. So please, June 16th. And another thing to remember too is that you have to have all data in unless you've talked to us. I know there's a couple there about people reaching out to us about some requirements, but you need to have all of that submitted to be eligible for your stipend. Again, follow up with us on email if you have any questions.
Okay.
The stipend payment process, I just want to talk about, I know CSS is College of St. Scholastica's second here, but I just want to talk about it really quick. With this College of St. Scholastica, the online program. So if you're in the online program and you've been working with me, Cassandra primarily, our paperwork's a little bit different than Trinity. Trinity seems to be a little bit more streamlined, but that's okay. We just have a little bit extra step with the College of St. Scholastica. So you'll return the paperwork to us. We'll submit it to St. Scholastica, and then St. Scholastica will issue your check. Once we turn your paperwork over to St. Scholastica, we do not have a lot of control over how fast that gets issued to you. We're happy to check in about that with you, but it's really important that you get your paperwork back to us as soon as possible so we can get that payment out to you. And way. Pauline, do you want to touch on Trinity's payment process really quick?
Yes. So for Trinity, as Cassie said, it is just a tad bit easier. We do not need you to fill out any additional paperwork. We'll be going through, or I'll be going through to make sure that you've met the requirements and your spreadsheet is completed. If all of your data and all requirements have been met, submitted and met, then I will submit a request to our business office for your stipend, if applicable, to be sent out. The big thing here, and why I'm really trying to get all of the hybrid teachers, if possible, to submit by June 1st, is the fact that I am going to be serving as a question leader for the AP CSP reading in Kansas City. So instead of 1 week, I will be away for 2. So I leave June 5th. And if you have been a reader before, or if you are a reader this year, you know that it is a full day job, and each day will be 8 to 5. I won't really get much time to do other work. So I want as many of you as possible to be able to submit by June 1st if you can, so that way I can review all of your spreadsheets and then send the request over so that way you are receiving your checks in the end of June, early July. If you need to go to June 16th, I know there are some of you that need to, and you have already requested that extension with me, which is perfectly fine. If you are going to be submitting by June 16th, that means I would not get to process and review your spreadsheets until after I return. So that would also mean that is going to be overlapping with the start of the new PD. We have the online PD that starts June 19th and the hybrid PD that starts June 26th for the new group of teachers that will train. So by the time that I would be able to review and get your payment request sent over to our business office and then have them processed and sent out, you wouldn't receive your check until the end of July. So that's the big difference there. The submission on dates just means a different timing and when you receive your check, and just know that this is just because I'll be away for those 2 weeks, and hopefully it will be beneficial to everybody in both the AP, CSP, and Mobile CSP communities, and I'll get to bring back lots of great insight from the reading.
Thanks, Polly. We're really happy that you're doing that and that you're going to have the opportunity to go be a reader. I just have one quick thing to add here about the College of St. Scholastica process, the online process, is we submit the paperwork in bulk with every other people's payments. And so what that means is if you get done before the June 16th date, your paperwork will not be submitted until after. And the reason for this is to keep the paperwork together so it gets processed faster. This is a St. Scholastica, this is something that the College of St. Scholastica asks us to do. So we will not submit till after the June 16th deadline, and that will be 1 to 2 weeks. If you turn in your paperwork to us before the deadline, just know that we will not submit it till after. If you have any questions about that, just let me know. So quickly here, we have some frequently asked questions that came up about wrapping up the year and what can I do for the 2017 to 2018 academic year. So there's a couple quick questions here. Just really briefly, is we encourage you to continue talking with us, the Mobile CSP team, your teacher, and other teachers in your cohort. You're more than welcome to continue talking to them. There's no obligation to do that. You're not required to, but you're more than welcome to. We understand that you've been working with these individuals for the past year, developed some friendships and some connections, so please continue to reach out to them. A lot of our master teachers and mentors are continuing on to the next year and will be mentoring a new cohort. That their response time may not be as quick, but we're always happy to hear from you. You're also welcome to continue using and resources. We would love for you to continue to do that and class in the academic year to get them started with Mobile CSP. Another thing too is you will be invited to the webinars through the teaching forum. So we make those public and available, so you'll still have opportunities to come to things like this and join us and see what's going on. Lastly, you can participate in data collection, but that's not required of you. We would love it if you would. Unfortunately, we can't offer you a stipend if you do participate in data collection for the 2017-2018 academic year. Well, if you could do that. A perk of doing data collection is we would be able to grade the exams for you as we did this year. If you're not participating in data collection, unfortunately, we can't do that for you. And the reason is we'll have a new cohort starting that we will be collecting data from, so your exams for you, but you will have access to the PDFs and you can see and use those questions. Pauline, is there anything that's come up with on your end, questions about next year?
So yes, although I'm hesitant because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it, but why not, right? There was a question about the curriculum and if there would be changes and updates. So the site will remain available, which is why we're saying you can absolutely continue to use the curriculum and the resources that are there. Over the next month or so, you won't see these changes, but so we are making some curriculum updates, and those changes will go live and be available in the mid-June, so when the PD starts. So by then, many of you will have made it to the very end and you'll be finishing up, or you'll have already completed the academic year when those changes are shown in the curriculum and on the website. Curriculum, and there'll be some changes that are happening there that will be to everybody about what's updated and what's changing. When it does change, when that change goes live, you'll know about it and you'll get the details. But it will continue to be available for you. And again, all of those suggestions that you submit in your teacher end of course post surveys, those suggestions, that feedback, we take that, we analyze it, we try to incorporate that every year during this time when we're doing our curriculum updates. So please do provide us with thoughtful feedback when you're doing that. We'll try our best to incorporate what you feel needs to be worked on. You had a heads up that the changes would be happening, and if you log on during the summer, you may notice that things are a bit different, but we will be updating everyone when the changes happen.
Thank you, Pauline, for adding that. I think that's important that teachers are aware of that, especially if you're going to be using this for the academic year. So just really quickly here, where we say that we wanted to keep it about 30 minutes. So thank you guys for joining us. If you want to stay on and ask questions or concerns or have some discussion, you're more than welcome to. But that was, I think we have covered everything that we wanted to cover today. So you're more than welcome to stay on. We'll probably be on for just a couple minutes here to wrap up questions. But thank you for joining if you're going to be leaving.
We have a lot more that came in too.
I'm not seeing any questions come in quite yet, but I'm refreshing the answer garden. It looks like we have a lot of people using Java, a couple more guest speakers in there.
The internet's own.
Type your answers here.
Oh, those seniors.
Not seeing any questions come in, but I got a couple thank yous. So we appreciate you guys and we appreciate all of your efforts, and we're just want to offer congratulations to you for completing the Mobile CSP course and participating with us in data collection. We're so grateful, and a congratulations to your students as well.
Right. Are we all set?
Looks like we might be having one question come in. I'll just wait a couple seconds.
Okay.
Okay, never mind. We're all good. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We will share the answer garden with you, and we will also post this webinar so you can come back and review it if you have any questions. Don't be afraid to reach out to Pauline or I. And so thank you.
Thank you, everyone.